CNN News 18 and Federal Bank Primetime Studio.
Namaste, Jai Hind, and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. I'm Anand Narasimhan, coming to you live from the CNN News 18 Federal Bank Primetime Studios. First up, ladies and gentlemen, it's great news. It's fantastic news for us as a nation. And this is with respect to the big thumbs up that Bharat has received from the Financial Action Task Force. The FATF has praised Bharat's efforts to curb money laundering, terror financing. The mutual evaluation report of our nation, which was adopted in the FATF plenary held in Singapore between the 26th and the 28th of June, places Bharat in the quote-unquote regular follow-up category. This is a significant milestone for us as a country at the global stage. Since 2014, the government has enacted a series of legislative changes and bolstered enforcement efforts to tackle money laundering, financial transactions, and black money. This multi-pronged strategy has brought these measures in line with international standards and has demonstrably proven to be effective, yielding positive results. Now, on the right stand, we'll also break this down further for you. First, let us tell you all about the FATF, intergovernmental organization that was established in 1989, the Financial Action Task Force, international watchdog on money laundering. It actually helps tackle terror financing and the related threats. Bharat became a member of the Financial Action Task Force back in 2010, about 14 years ago. Indian authorities have had success in dismantling further terror funding network using actionable intelligence inputs, and these operations have stemmed the flow of terror funding, black money and narcotics, even along the coastline. The FATF has recognized the efforts made by Bharat on this. It has also appreciated our efforts on mitigating the risks arising from money laundering and terrorist financing, including the laundering of proceeds from corruption, fraud and organized crime. Effective measures implemented by our nation to transition from a cash-based to a digital economy in order to reduce money laundering and terrorist financing risks. Implementation of the JAM, or the Jantar Mantar and Mobile Trinity, the JAM portal, along with stringent regulations on cash transactions, which has led to significant increase in financial inclusion and digital transactions. These measures have made transactions more traceable, thereby mitigating money laundering and terror financing risks and enhancing financial inclusion. Also, the central government assuring to continue the fight against money laundering. And here's what the Finance Ministry has come out and said. Recognition from the FATF is a testament to the rigorous and effective measures implemented by Bharat over the last 10 years. It underscores the nation's commitment to international standards and highlights the nation's proactive stance in the global fight against financial crimes. Our efforts have set a benchmark for nations in other regions across the world to effectively implement international standards on terrorist financing, and especially around us in the subcontinent. Bharat's excellent rating will also enhance the capacity of our country to lead the global effort on countering cross-border terror financing and money laundering. In fact, top government sources are revealing to News 18 that this is a significant achievement that places our country in the top category. A team effort and highlights government's approach on security, will enhance investor confidence and stability of the economic system. But what does the FATF's mutual evaluation report mean for us? The report places Bharat in the regular follow-up category. The distinction is shared by only 4 other G20 nations, ladies and gentlemen. This demonstrates the overall stability and integrity of the financial system. And good ratings will help increase investor confidence. It will also help in the global expansion of the Unified Payments Interface, or UPI. That is Bharat's fast payment system. And good ratings will also lead to better access to global financial market. Good ratings also help Bharat combat cross-border terror and become a shining example for other nations to follow. Other nations that dream of being Viksit very soon, other developing nations. And of course, the global south will now open itself a little more to adopting, embracing, learning the UPI, or the Unified Payments Interface. Let's shift focus now. So that's a big feather in the cap for us. But then closer home, there is politics. Plenty of hangama in Parliament. And even ahead of the first long discussion that the new government is supposed to have on the president's address or the president's statement. Now, the burning issue across the country, the one that opposition is vehemently asking, is that of the examination mess, particularly around the National Eligibility Cum Entrance Test or NEET. With exams being cancelled or postponed, lakhs of aspirants are uncertain about the road ahead for them. The issue echoing in Parliament as well, with the opposition refusing to let the House function unless a detailed discussion was held on NEET. They were wanting to invoke Rule 267 for the same. Assurances from the Education Minister and the Centre failed to convince the opposition. The ruckus led to adjournment of the Lok Sabha, which was to hold a discussion on the motion of thanks. Chants of justice echoed in the Rajya Sabha as well. This was despite the President on Thursday assuring the country of an independent probe as she read out the government's blueprint. Congress even hit the streets in protest, including storming of the NTA office on Thursday. But before we get into the politics of it, and is it being done to discuss or to disrupt, first let's tell you about the status of the probe. Where is the probe so far? Is the government really walking the talk in terms of strong, hard, punitive action and corrective action? Now, in connection with the Bihar paper leak, the CBI has arrested 2 suspects, Ashutosh and Manish, allegedly facilitating candidates at a boys' hostel. CBI has also arrested the principal and vice principal of the Oasis school. This is in Hazaribagh in Jharkhand. The 2 were associated with the Oasis school from where the paper allegedly leaked. The CBI is now searching for the mastermind Sanjeev Mukhia. And not just Bihar and Jharkhand. Moving to Gujarat, the CBI sought the remand of 4 Godhra-based accused for their involvement in irregularities in the exam. The CBI is also specifically seeking the custody of the school teacher Tushar Bhatt, principal of the Jai Jalaram School, Purushottam Sharma, and middlemen Vibhor Anand and Arif Vora. The CBI has secured over 1,000 pages of documents in the NEET Godhra scam investigation. So that's Gujarat. Meanwhile, 2 teachers have been arrested in Latur in connection with the paper leak case and could crack a deal with candidates for 5 lakh rupees to get them passed in the medical exam. Police also quizzed parents of 12 students whose admit cards were found in possession of the 2 arrested accused. In Rajasthan, at least 10 medical students at the Jhalawar Medical College in Rajasthan were detained for questioning by the crime branch of Delhi and Mumbai police. The government has also taken various steps to crack down on exam cheats. The government has formed an expert panel to rejig the functioning of the National Testing Agency. The government has notified rules for Public Examinations Prevention of Unfair Means Act. The government has removed Subodh Kumar as the NTA of DG NTA over the exam leaks and irregularities. The CBI taking over the paper leak cases in Bihar, Maharashtra, Rajasthan and Gujarat, and on saying the ambitus will still spread into Delhi and also NTA officials if required. CBI making arrests in Bihar, arresting suspects from Patna. And more importantly, the Education Ministry and also the panel, the high-powered panel now putting out a date between 27th of June to the 7th of July, asking parents, stakeholders, teachers, students to submit whatever their suggestions and comments are, which can help improve the entire National Testing Agency and the entire testing system of NEET, UG and NET and all the other public exams or open exams, ladies and gentlemen. And this is a 10-day window that's open to all of us, and they're welcoming suggestions because they have a 2-month deadline within which they've got to roll out a foolproof procedure for the next exams or the exams next year. Let's go across to Twin Sena National Spokesperson of the BJP, Sanjay Jha, author and political analyst. It's a straight face-off between the 2 gentlemen. Namaste and Jai Hind. Thank you very, very much. Sanjay Jha, if I may ask you as we go across to our guests, if I may straight away ask you, what is the opposition's position, sir? And allow me to just, underline my question by saying, since the president in her speech mentioned NEET, doesn't that already come under the ambit of the motion of thanks? So doesn't it give the platform for the opposition to raise all the questions around needs and force a response from the government as part of the motion of thanks? Yes, Sanjay ji.
Anand, I think we are debating an extremely grave and serious issue today. This is about the future generations of our great country. And what makes a country really, a model that the others get inspired by its youth. And what is the fundamental differentiator? Education. Now, you look at India's story under Mr. Modi's government. It is a political hot potato. It cannot be ignored. For 10 years, you have had a government under Mr. Modi that has done nothing but big talk. India's famous demographic dividend, and Anand, you are aware of it because we have debated it on your programs very often.
Sure.
Every time we talk about GDP, etc., etc. India's demographic dividend has been frankly mutilated and destroyed under Mr. Modi's government. Forget jobs. Unemployment was one of the issues why Mr. Modi's political party had very disappointing and dismal results, which has now reduced them into a minority government. But they never woke up to that reality. They campaigned on communal polarization. You see, when a political party doesn't get its objectives right, it will play a very base, pedestrian and very puerile politics. They should have focused, because we were talking for a long time, unemployment is a serious challenge in India.
Right.
Now, to make it bad, to make it aggravated and even worse, now you are being told that even the exams are structurally, deficient. There are scams happening by the day. I mean, you're talking about medical doctors.
Yeah.
You and I know how poor public health, or for that matter, expensive private health is in the country. Aspiring students who want to be in the medical fraternity now don't even know what their future holds. The exams are not being held properly. Forget jobs. Forget the education and health of our great country. So this is a very grave issue. And, I do believe, Tuhin is a friend and he will contest me and he has every right to do so. But I'm going to make an assumption that your viewers will be able to see this program with a very bipartisan lens. Tuhin has every right to explain the government's point of view. Feel free, no problem with that. But I can tell you the larger issue, Anand, is the failure of governance. You see, don't, dovetail this or try and juxtapose what is happening today with what has happened in the airports. You're seeing how tunnels have collapsed. There is a larger governance failure on infrastructure, both in hard infrastructure and in soft infrastructure.
Okay, Sanjay, with due respect,
Sanjay
ji, with due respect, I will focus on the NEET and the entire issue, because nobody who's on screen today right now, because again with the airport and all of that, we will get into who did it and who built it and when did it crash. And let's not get it. Systemic failure.
It's a larger systemic
but
failure.
my moot point, sir, is between me, you, and Tuhin Sinha. None of us are against a debate on NEET and wanting to fix this entire testing system, because it's our generation and it's the next generation and its future. We are all on the same page on that. My question, sir, is that the position that the opposition seems to be taking while trying to insist that you discuss only NEET and nothing else can actually derail or disrupt the entire matter. And I'm humbly saying why. Because when the President herself in her address to the 18th Lok Sabha inaugural for opening address has said that NEET is an important matter and it needs to be focused on, and the government is doing its bit, but more needs to be done, it automatically becomes part of the motion of thanks debate, for which 2 whole days, 21 hours have been allocated. Correct me if I'm wrong. So why not bring NEET under the motion of thanks itself and force an answer from the government and get them to debate on this? I'm just saying, because for us, I will rest in the next 5 seconds. Overall, we all want NEET to be discussed and addressed, right? We want the testing agency and NTA and the testing mechanism to discuss and address. Should we now be arguing and fighting on, should it be done under motion of thanks or Rule 267? That's my question, sir.
Okay. Anand, very simply put,
Ji.
Skip the protocol, procedure and processes here. There are 24 lakh students who sit for this exam. Just looking at the medical exam for the moment, although the scam has now widened to multiple fields. Here is the crucial point. They battle hard through competitive exams, extremely brutally taxing on their mental, emotional and physical faculties. You are aware of how many young students commit suicide in Kota. And for 100,000 seats, if we are not going to respect a young because of the fact that they are going through probably a very deep
that is exactly
and,
my
in
point.
my opinion, emotional crisis, who will?
Sir,
this is not politics,
Sir, that is exactly my point.
Common man.
That is exactly my point, that Rahul Gandhi, Narendra Modi and Draupadi Murmu, with due respect to all of them, as leader opposition, as Prime Minister and as President, are all concerned about the future, just like you, me and Tuhin Sinha. My point is then, why get into this whole thing about, no, you have to do this only and it cannot be as part of motion of thanks, it has to be under Rule 267.
It's a priority.
No.
It has to be a priority.
Sir, the priority,
That's
by
the point.
default, the President has given it priority. By default, it becomes part of motion of thanks. So do you want the discussion or you want a disruption is what I'm trying to say. Who's trying to be under... complicate matter. Okay, let Tuhin Sinha respond.
Anand, you are aware that the president's speech is drafted by the government.
Sanjay ji,
right?
so that's exactly what I'm trying to say. That the government,
by name.
if that is the case, then the government itself is saying, let's talk NEET as part of motion of thanks. It can be done like that also. Why unnecessarily try to say, no, you have to do it this way only. That's my point. That's my point. Sir, we have...
Can you trust the speaker?
Sir, no, frankly, sir, under motion of thanks... Frankly, sir, under motion of thanks, nobody can be stopped from talking. Today, we lost the whole day. It got disrupted. The whole day could have been only NEET.
Why was the government reluctant to admit to a day on NEET?
No, sir.
Just one simple question.
Why would you want to insist it when you could have spared two whole days on NEET itself? Okay, Tuhin Sinha. Okay. Let me go to Tuhin Sinha. Let me go to Tuhin Sinha. The counter position. Yes. I'm doing that. Just one second. So even as I asked the opposition Tuhin Sinha. Even as I asked the opposition to Sinha that they could have discussed the same thing all through the day, late into the evening, only NEET the opposition could have spoken of as part of motion of thanks. They have chosen not to do it. Why can't the government allow a specific discussion on NEET? If it is of primacy and importance to all of us. Yes, Tuhin, please respond.
Anand,
Thank you for your patience.
In recent years, this opposition has shown an inherent disdain for parliamentary traditions and etiquettes, and it makes for a very sad sight. When senior leaders like Kharge ji and Rahul Gandhi have to be schooled by the Rajya Sabha Speaker and Lok Sabha Speaker on parliamentary etiquettes. It's very clear that as per rules today, a vote of thanks on the motion, a vote of thanks had to be brought on the president's address yesterday, and anything could have been a motion of thanks had to be brought, and anything could have been discussed under that. And the Honorable President had spoken about this in a very articulate manner itself in yesterday's speech. Point is, under Article 3, under Rule 267, you have only 4 hours to discuss it, and everything else comes to a standstill. Why? Is the huge tragedy that killed 65 people in the country not important for the Congress party? Is the financial anarchy which the Congress state governments are unleashing in their respective states, does that not concern the future of the country? The point is Congress has a my way or the highway attitude. When the Manipur discussion happened, when the Pegasus discussion happened, when the Rafale discussion happened, they came with a similar confrontationist attitude. And in each of these debates, our ministers had spoken for at least 1 hour. On the Manipur issue, the Home Minister had spoken for 2 hours. So why do you want to restrict it under Rule 267 to a mere 4 hours? We will discuss everything threadbare, including the confession made by Lokesh, just 1 second, 10 seconds, including the confession made by Lokesh Sharma, OSD, to Ashok Gehlot, who has said that Ashok Gehlot was the kingpin of all paper leaks which happened in Rajasthan in the last few years. So we are prepared to discuss anything. In fact, decisive action has been taken last weekend. As you mentioned, 4 important steps have been taken. The CBI inquiry has been initiated.
Correct.
So where is this tearing hurry?
Okay, let me ask you. My understanding of parliamentary procedure, rules, etc. is limited. So please educate me, either of you. Rule 267, is it not applicable to a bill that is actually moved? And it is the subject matter and that bill, and if that needs to be discussed for 4 hours, nothing else, and every other business of parliament is stopped to discuss that. Now here there is no bill in case. The other point is that there is 21 hours, 2.5 days or more that is going to be allocated for the motion of thanks. Have we not lost 8-9 hours today because of this adjournment in Lok Sabha? The opposition could have stood there and spoken all day on NEET today. And was it in the interest of the Sarkar also that the opposition disrupts Tuhin Sinha? Because you wanted to move away from a discussion. Why couldn't the Parliamentary Affairs Minister walk across and say that you please move in all your motions on NEET, on the motion of thanks of the President, and speak on NEET the whole day? Let everybody speak. Why couldn't the Parliamentary Affairs Minister convince the opposition on that? It's not an unfair question to ask. Yes, Tuhin
Sinha. Lok Sabha Speaker was very categorical in his position. He made it very clear that you can discuss anything with regard to NEET under the motion of thanks. Now, because, today, as per schedule, motion of thanks had to be brought. So, under that, because the Honorable President had anyway spoken about NEET and the cleanup measures, they could discuss anything. But like I said, this my way or the highway attitude, for no rhyme or reason, We have never run away from the discussion. Last Thursday, the minister had an extensive press conference. Last weekend, there were 4 measures announced, including CBI inquiry, the replacement of NTA Director General, the institution of inquiry under the ex-ISRO.
Frankly, I'll tell you, did the Speaker encourage the Parliamentary Affairs Minister to walk across the aisle and convince the opposition, let's discuss NEET under the motion of thanks the whole day?
No.
Did the Parliamentary Affairs make that effort?
You were not in Parliament, Anand.
No, I'm asking you, and Sanjay Jha, between both of you are very well known to me. So beyond your political lines, I'm also asking, frankly, Sanjay ji, that I would have wanted to listen.
I don't think I can speak on this with authority because I'm not privy to the details of the 7 hours of procedure.
See, what I would have wanted.
A lot of things happen beyond the camera because there are rooms allocated to the Parliamentary Affairs Minister. There are rooms allocated to every...
I'm stepping beyond my current role or current position as somebody who's anchoring the right stand. I'm saying as an individual citizen, I would have wanted to hear Mr. Rahul Gandhi, followed by other leaders of the opposition, to voice their opinion and concerns on NEET as part of the motion of thanks. They could have used this opportunity the whole day today, sir. Don't you think it's an opportunity lost, Sanjay Jha, by trying to insist it should happen only under 267? I'm humbly placing that here. I'm asking you this. Don't you think it's an opportunity lost, sir?
Yeah, Anand, let me answer you, and I want to do that with a very calm and a collected response, not indulging in rhetoric here. We are talking about corruption in exams affecting crores of young people who are the future of this country. Can there be anything more important than that? I can't even contemplate what we are thinking of here. Why is Toheen and the BJP getting stuck in some, insane, asinine protocol when all the opposition wanted was to say, listen, this is a very damaging, not just for India's reputation, this is an extremely crucial, shall we say, damage to institutions of this country, and we need to kind of debate that in a transparent fashion. As you rightly said, Anand, Rahul Gandhi would speak, the opposition would speak, so would the government. End of day, we have to understand this is a democracy yet, right? It's not completely obliterated, Toheen. And Toheen, at the end of the day, the people of India, the young are what we need to think of. This is not about...
But Sanjay ji, फिर एक ही बात, again, 267, there is no bill in Parliament to be discussed. The other thing, it's a 4-hour limit. Under motion of thanks, NEET could have been discussed from 12 noon till 6 p.m. today, and from 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. In the morning on Monday till 6 p.m., 7 p.m. on Monday. There would have been no time limit. The opposition could have discussed only NEET and raised only NEET as part of the motion of thanks.
Anand,
आप मुझे बताइए. I'm just saying, logically, do I want 12 hours of conversation and pushing the government on NEET, or just 4 hours? That's my question to you.
Anand, there's a very simple answer. Very simple answer. Okay. What is the compelling urgency of our times, right? All TV channels are talking about NEET because it is a very critical and an embarrassing manifestation of India's governance, which basically is affecting the young of this country, the future of this country. If we were in government, more than anything else, we would volunteer to say, I think we need to engage, because when you engage with the opposition in Parliament, it is shown to everybody live. Everybody talks about it. The media talks about it. The civil society becomes a participant, and people can judge for themselves that we are giving it the priority it deserves. Whether it's 4 hours or 12 hours, when people are going to discuss the president's address, they are not only going to discuss NEET. They are going to discuss Manipur. You're going to discuss, agrarian crisis. You're going to discuss inflation.
Use 60%
and inflation.
But Sanjay ji, I'm just going to throw in. I'm just saying, you could use 60% of the time for NEET and 40% to Manipur, and it could all have been raised under motion of thanks, and you could have continued to raise it more than trying to insist on this, because all that's happened is adjournment and no conversation at all. Are you trying to pin a batsman down on the back foot to try and get him plump in front of the wicket, or are you giving him a low full toss so that he can step out and hit it out of the park? That's the question that comes to mind to the opposition. Tuhin Sinha, my point. One sec. Sir, I have to. Sanjay ji, no, sir. Sanjay ji, I'm saying that today valuable 6 hours have been lost, sir. And I would request the opposition to ensure that the government is there in the floor of the house to answer these questions, and however it is, we should bring it in rather than insisting this is the only way you can talk about it. That's my humble submission. Twins in 1 minute. Monday, I've got to wind up. Monday,
the Prime Minister of India to be there.
Sir, my point is, sir, the Prime Minister will be there on the first and also on the second, sir. He will come. My point is that the opposition could have cornered the talk time. The opposition, the government today, the opposition from my perspective has allowed the government to get away by reducing the opposition's talk time by 6.5 hours out of 21 hours. That's what's happened. Twin Sina, Monday, will there be conversation on NEET? Will there be conversation on the NEET? Will the government walk across the aisle and say, let's do it under motion of thanks, but we will give you 5 hours and we'll discuss only NEET in this motion of thanks under 5 hours? Can this happen on Monday?
It would have happened today itself.
1 minute. Okay.
It would have
Sanjay ji, you're not audible.
Itself,
Sanjay ji, please. Sorry.
It would have happened today itself if it would have happened today itself had Congress not played spoil sport. Please understand that if they are serious about the discussion, insisting for Rule 267 is self-defeating. I don't know why they come up with this Rule 267, which does not exactly have the right relevance over here. And when you say, just 10 seconds, when you say the Parliamentary Affairs Minister, what was he doing? I'm sure, this government is very serious. Discussions happen beyond the main auditorium, beyond the main hall of the Parliament.
Here's what I would very humbly request.
Round the clock.
Here's what Rule 267 allows: 4 hours of concentrated discussion. Here's what I would like to hear the government come out and say, that come Monday, 4.5 hours, half an hour more, we will discuss under the motion of thanks, we will discuss only NEET. And let's see if the opposition steps up and says, taken, let's do it. That is in the interest of both the government, the convention or the parampara, and also the cause, that is the interest and the future of our students. Let's see if this can happen. Because if this happens, then sir, then there is an intent of working together between the government and the opposition. Else otherwise it's just driving a wedge, and the opposition is the one that's not getting its talk time. I've got to wind up. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sanjay Jha and Twin Sina. Thank you very much. We're moving on. And we've got a big story coming up. The big story is about Bharat, ladies and gentlemen. It's the big final. 2 teams that remain undefeated so far in the T20 World Cup are going head to head. One's been branded chokers, the others fighting a jinx that they get all the way up to the final, but they